Hi class, welcome to Team 3's Leadership Challenge presentation on Marissa Mayer, former CEO of Yahoo. We will walk you through the challenges Marissa faced as she helmed Yahoo due to her complicated relationship with effective organizational behavior. We hope you enjoy and thank you for watching. For our Leadership Challenge, Team 3 chose to focus on Marissa Mayer, former VP of Google Search Products and User Experience, who gained notoriety as a bastion of female success within the patriarchal playing field of the tech industry. She was selected to turn Yahoo's floundering enterprise around in 2012 to mirror the innovative successes she had had at Google. Unfortunately, due to her failure to think dynamically, she was deemed largely ineffective. In our presentation, Team 3 discusses why Marissa's transformation efforts failed, how key leadership traits she possessed actually led to her failure, her dysfunctional and stymied momentum, and lastly, the lessons learned from her inability to adhere to successful organizational behavior.
Founded in 1994, Yahoo quickly became an internet search engine giant. But over the years, competition from the likes of Google left it playing catch-up. One of the primary drivers of this stems from a lack of clear company direction or identity. When asked, a former Yahoo executive said that if you ask 10 executives what Yahoo is and where it's going, you get 10 different answers. Yahoo's failings came from a combination of failed business ventures, stagnating technology, lack of innovation, and a botched acquisition attempt by Microsoft. These missteps led Google to overtake Yahoo as the top internet search engine. These struggles led to the search for a new CEO, which ultimately ended with Marissa Mayer. Initially, there was a lot to like about her. She was one of the first 20 employees of Google, experiencing a tremendous amount of early success, and quickly rose through the ranks. She was known within Google for being data-driven and willing to work long hours. It was also thought that adding Mayer would bring a fresh perspective to the company and would spur innovation and growth. Mayer might have also suffered from a phenomenon known as the glass cliff, where companies are more likely to appoint women and minorities to leadership roles when the firm isn't doing so well. It is thought that bringing in a woman would be better for team building because they listen better and have a higher social intelligence.
Was the inherent problem or the new leader caused Yahoo's failure? A former editorial director at Yahoo says Yahoo's main problem was that it did not know what it wanted to be, a content provider or a software company. Despite improving the financial performance, Yahoo employees and shareholders were crying out for consistency of vision. Mayer was brought to Yahoo for creating a consistent vision and developing strategy to achieving that vision. Use every vehicle possible to communicate the new vision and empower others to act on it. Was Mayer capable of accomplishing what she was brought in for? The answer was obvious. Mayer failed to create a consistent vision after mixing out the content search, social media, e-commerce, and mobile. There was nothing left for Yahoo to become, but that did not stop Mayer from trying everything. This marked Mayer's incapability to form a consistent vision. Mayer motivate and manage through fear that blocked groups' intention to come together for leading changes. CNBC noted that Mayer is a type of boss that makes you feel you are disappointing her at all times, makes you feel on the urge for being fired. Business Insider mentioned Mayer had a hard time relating others. Her leadership style of insisting that she was always right bottlenecked her communication for enacting vision for implementation. Mayer also failed to empower others. CNBC mentioned Mayer's style was having one person making majority team decisions. Under Mayer leadership, $2 billion of capital was spent. 50 internet startups was being acquired and mostly written off. Countless executives has been hired and fired. Numerous strategies were planned, launched, and abandoned. Mayer's struggle on focusing vision was the main failure in her leadership.
Once we understood more about Marissa's leadership qualities, we began to examine her decisions in the context of what we studied in this course. And we began with change management. Early in her tenure, Marissa made two very disruptive changes at Yahoo. The first occurred in November of 2012 when she hired Henrique de Castro out of Google as Yahoo's new COO, in charge of leading the company's core ad business. The second occurred in February 2013 when she prohibited all employees from working from home. Well, neither of these changes were very successful. In fact, by 2014, a third of the company's workforce had left, and only 15 months after hiring Henrique, she fired him for his performance. Now, a CEO is not perfect, and not every decision they make will always be effective. But when you learn about how Marissa made these changes, it's not surprising to learn that she wasn't successful. Obviously, Marissa was brought in as the CEO to make changes, so she was following a top-down leadership approach. Well, as we learned in Module 5, when you make disruptive changes, you have to have a high degree of credibility. Marissa was known for working at Google, but she did not have a whole lot of credibility as Yahoo's chief executive. And as a matter of fact, Henrique did not have a whole lot of credibility either. In fact, everyone around Marissa told her it was a mistake because of the way he works, his conflicts at Google, and the key differences between Google and Yahoo's ad business. Nevertheless, she made the decision, ended up firing him 15 months later, and when she fired him, she admitted it was a mistake. Also, when you make a disruptive change, you have to have a strong coalition of support. When she implemented the work-from-home policy, she did not use the existing company network to get buy-in and implement the change. She did it on her own, and it led to attrition. Now, these aren't the only two reasons these decisions failed, but we believe that if she had understood these concepts and used them, her chances of success might have been higher.
Marissa Mayer's lack of vision was a byproduct of her public image. She was the first female tech CEO and a well-known executive who helped bring Google's humble search engine into a tech giant. The media celebrated her appointment as Yahoo CEO and expected wide and sweeping changes to revamp Yahoo's dying business. She listened and she acted. She disrupted the internal culture, laid off excess workers, and made many acquisitions, most notably Tumblr, for $1.1 billion. Sadly, all of her action-oriented changes hemorrhaged both money and talented workers as the company and the public began to lose faith in her leadership. Yet throughout her 5-year term, she continued with her plan of no vision, to essentially throw spaghetti against the wall and see what sticks. And despite the criticism she received from both inside and outside of Yahoo, she continued uninterrupted. What Mayer needed was a moment to pause and reevaluate her plan, to objectively analyze her decision within the context of Yahoo. If she had, she would have realized that, as a new CEO, she needed to change her approach and become more accessible to other people's suggestions, especially those that differed from her own. Marissa Mayer was often characterized by her team as impersonal and inflexible. Her headstrong attitude closed her from other people's perspectives, leaving the executive team and the employees unable and unwilling to interrupt her misguided decision. As an example, 2 years into her term, her cybersecurity team warned her of Yahoo's insufficient protection against cyber threats and urged her to take pause and to take action. However, preoccupied with her momentum to change, she brushed off their concerns and focused on moves she felt would alter Yahoo for the better. It was later discovered that in 2014, Yahoo suffered a massive data breach of over 1 billion users, and Mayer was largely blamed for her short-sightedness and irresponsibility to not stop and redirect her attention to more pressing issues. As Skin Scott, an ex-Google exec and CEO coach, once noted on Mayer's performance, having one person make the majority of the team's decision, both granular and strategic, can hurt the group's performance in the long run, and Mayer was no exception.
Melissa's leadership style consisted of a top-down management approach. Though the top echelon may have better access to resources and a more influential network, there is a negative effect on the lower echelons where the diversity and specialized talent end up feeling disconnected and unheard. Being a divergent leader can generate a multitude of creative ideas by exploring a variety of possible solutions. However, in order to execute those ideas, a strong leader must establish credibility and create a coalition of influential supporters who promote those ideas. Unfortunately, due to her micromanaging style, Marissa did not have such a coalition. Thus, her lack of support began to erode her credibility, and her divergent and transformational ideas turned into failures. Lastly, Melissa did not take the time to hit pause and reassess her decision making. Such interruptions are necessary as one can become so tunnel vision with their idea that they don't see if they're on a trajectory of bad momentum. She may have changed her mind if she just listened to other ideas, interrupted her dysfunctional momentum, and reassessed her stance. Team 3 specifically selected Melissa Mayer to focus our leadership challenge on, since we felt that there were many more lessons to be learned via her failures, rather than selecting one of the many successful female CEOs in today's business world. We hope you enjoyed our presentation. Thank you for listening.